10 tomato varieties that will thrive in your garden, and 5 varieties that might break your heart. If you're like us here at Soil and Crop Central, you know the anticipation of growing tomatoes runs deep, especially when you've carefully chosen the seeds, nurtured the seedlings, and waited patiently for the first fruits. But not all tomatoes are created equal. Some will wow you with robust growth, heat tolerance, and flavor that stops you in your tracks. Others, despite the hype, will falter, flop, and leave you questioning your green thumb. After years of testing more than 140 tomato varieties under the sun-drenched and often punishing conditions of Florida's climate, we've narrowed it down to a select few that consistently perform. These are the tomatoes that stand strong against heat, shrug off disease, and deliver bountiful, flavorful harvests. But we've also seen our fair share of heartbreak, varieties that promise beauty and production only to wilt under pressure. So today, we're not holding back. Let's dive straight into the best tomatoes you must grow, and the ones you should avoid at all costs if you value your time, effort, and garden space. Helena holds its own in the heat. Helena might not be a household name, but this Hawaiian variety deserves a place in any tomato grower's lineup, especially in hot, humid regions. Even when grown in a pot that was far too small, Helena showed off impressive resilience, producing beautifully formed clusters of fruit while continuing to flower in conditions where other varieties gave up. What sets Helena apart is its tolerance to summer's extremes. In shaded conditions and with decent airflow, it still maintained a strong 50% fruit set rate when others were dropping blossoms. Its compact growth makes it container-friendly, and while it performs even better in raised beds, Helena is a dependable variety when space and climate are working against you. Lucky Tiger is the unexpected MVP. At first glance, Lucky Tiger might not scream superstar. With its striped skin and elongated plum shape, it can seem more ornamental than practical. But don't be fooled. This variety brings serious productivity to the table. It flourishes with fruit clusters from the base to the top of the plant and continues setting fruit even as temperatures rise. The flavor profile leans toward savory, making it an ideal candidate for sauces and roasting. But more than taste, what truly makes Lucky Tiger shine is its reliability. In a test garden filled with dozens of competitors, this one snuck up the list and claimed a top spot without even trying. Better Boy never bows out early. There's a reason Better Boy has been a favorite for decades. In Florida's punishing garden conditions where many beefsteaks crack under pressure, literally and figuratively, Better Boy continues to impress. The disease resistance is phenomenal, requiring minimal pruning and maintenance. Even when daytime highs climb past 85 degrees and night temps hover in the 70s, this tomato is still flowering. While it's true that Better Boy can be prone to splitting during heavy rains, the key is to grow it early in the season to beat the summer storms. Get your timing right, and you'll be rewarded with meaty, juicy beefsteak tomatoes that perform when few others can. San Marzano still rules for sauce. There's a reason chefs and canners alike worship the San Marzano. It delivers. This determinate variety flourishes when planted early, producing a heavy set of paste tomatoes before the heat ramps up. Once established, it benefits greatly from partial shade. Nestled in the center of a garden bed, it gets just enough sun while staying cool enough to avoid disease and blossom drop. San Marzano's strength lies in its concentrated yield and thick flesh. If you're serious about making sauces or paste, nothing beats this classic. It may slow down once the heat peaks, but by then, you'll have baskets full of rich, flavorful fruit ready to be preserved or devoured fresh. Now let's dive into some more top tomato varieties that you absolutely need to know about. These selections offer unique characteristics from productivity to flavor, making them stand out in any garden. Indigo kumquat surprises with sheer productivity. With its quirky growth habit and branching vines, Indigo kumquat might look chaotic, but its vigor and productivity are unmatched. Grown under insect netting to keep pests at bay, it branched out in every direction and fruited aggressively, even on vines that crept to the opposite side of the trellis. Yes, it battles disease a bit more than others, but its ability to keep setting fruit through high heat makes up for it. The plum-shaped fruits boast a unique color that matures into a purplish-red blush, making it not just a workhorse but a showstopper in the garden. Red currant is small but mighty. Don't let its size fool you. The red currant tomato is a heavyweight contender. Tiny, bright red, and packed with flavor, this currant-style tomato has better taste and more vigor than the much-hyped Matt's Wild Cherry. Where others begin to falter, red currant keeps flowering and fruiting, even into the toughest stretches of summer. What makes it even better is its near-complete resistance to disease. Trim a few lower branches early in the season and then forget about it. It handles itself. And when you taste it, bright, rich, and intense, perfect for snacking or, if you're patient, making the most incredible tomato sauce you've ever had. Koala dominates with performance and taste. 2 years running, Koala has claimed the top spot in our test gardens. A Hawaiian slicer with robust fruit and unmatched durability, Koala keeps producing even when temperatures are consistently in the 90s. Unlike other slicers that struggle with pollination in extreme heat, Koala boasts nearly a 100% fruit set. Its disease resistance is incredible. The plant requires minimal pruning, and its upright, healthy growth means fewer issues with airflow or rot. The fruit? Firm, flavorful, and just the right size for sandwiches, salads, or slicing fresh on the spot. Koala is the kind of tomato that changes your standard for what a garden tomato can be. These tomato varieties may let you down. As much as we love celebrating the high performers, it's just as important to highlight the varieties that didn't live up to expectations. Whether due to weak disease resistance, poor fruit set, or simply underwhelming flavor, these are the tomatoes that proved more trouble than they're worth. If you want a productive garden, avoid these disappointing varieties and save yourself the frustration. The blueberry tomato looks good but falls short. Now for the varieties to avoid, starting with blueberry. Sure, it's visually intriguing and the name suggests a burst of sweetness, but in practice, blueberry tomatoes never quite deliver. While the plant shows promise in early growth stages, disease soon takes hold. Flowering drops off quickly, and fruit development slows to a crawl. In our garden, we saw just 4 tomatoes make it to harvest. For a variety that's marketed as both beautiful and productive, that's not good enough. Add in poor resistance and heavy pest damage, and this one earns a spot on the never again list. Tigerella gets taken out too easily. Tigerella has long had a fan base, especially in southern regions, but it simply didn't perform in our garden. A fast-moving fungal disease wiped out the plant before it could make a meaningful contribution. What's worse, it wasn't just foliar damage. The disease affected the fruit itself, rendering it nearly useless for anything beyond desperate snacking. When surrounding varieties held strong in the same bed, it became clear Tigerella simply lacked the disease resistance to justify a spot in a tightly managed tomato garden. Beautiful stripes can't make up for fruit you can't use. Alright, now let's discuss a few more tomato varieties to avoid and wrap up with some final thoughts. Jubilee was the biggest letdown. Few tomatoes came with more regional hype than Jubilee. Recommended by local experts and hailed for its heat tolerance, this one should have been a star. But it wasn't. Despite early promise, the plant struggled with disease, ceased flowering in moderate heat, and gave us just 3 tomatoes. They were decent in size and flavor, but the effort-to-reward ratio was abysmal. There's no forgiving a tomato that gives up when it's only in the mid-70s. In regions like Florida, that's practically springtime. Rebel Starfruit promised beauty, but brought a bust. If you're growing tomatoes for Instagram, Rebel Starfruit might tempt you. But don't be fooled. It produced a single fruit, had almost no flowers, and the ones it did produce dropped in the heat. The plant's unusual shape and color weren't enough to make up for its abysmal productivity. This is a novelty tomato at best, and not one for serious growers. Vintage wine is a repeating disappointment. Every gardener has that one variety they just keep hoping will work. For us, it was vintage wine. 3 years in a row we've tried to coax this plant into producing something, anything, but it has never delivered. It refuses to flower, refuses to set fruit, and with other varieties thriving in the same conditions, there's no excuse. We wanted it to work. We really did. But no more space, no more time, no more chances. Vintage wine is done. Final thoughts for your tomato growing success. Tomato growing is both science and art. It's about choosing varieties that don't just sound good on paper, but that prove themselves in real garden conditions. When you grow tomatoes in a region like Florida, or any place where heat, humidity, and pests are a constant threat, you need plants that are bred to thrive, not just survive. If you're just getting started or you're a seasoned grower looking to refine your crop, let this guide steer you toward reliable success. Choose wisely, and you'll be rewarded with baskets of juicy, flavorful tomatoes all season long. Don't forget to subscribe to Soil and Crop Central and hit that notification bell so you never miss our latest gardening tips, tomato trials, and everything in between. Share this guide with your fellow growers, especially those who've faced one too many tomato heartbreaks.